I want to tell y'all a funny story. My in-laws have a Subaru. It's a 10-year-old Outback, a little over 120,000 miles. They told me a while back it was doing something unusual. It was getting hot in slow traffic and stopped at lights. They decided to bring it up here. This is where they bought the car at. They did one of those full service inspections on them, and they came up with quite an interesting list of issues. So they just went through the whole car and tried to find as much stuff wrong with it as they possibly could. And I understand they're gonna do that, but what's surprising me is the prices they came up with on here. For instance, this thing has a small oil leak right now. One of the valve covers, replaced both front covers, O-ring for the oil cooler. With taxes is $6 grand. Now that doesn't mean they're gonna take the engine out and put a new engine in. That's kind of what I thought. It's like, it's $6 grand and getting a new engine for an oil leak? No, that's apparently what it costs. A number of things about differential bushings. Apparently the differential bushings cost $2,700 or so. That's not to replace the whole thing, that's just to redo the bushings in it. Apparently to replace the rear subframe. The rear diff bushings are leaking, so you have to replace the subframe. The subframe. That's $2,300, another $300 in tax. There's just so much crazy stuff in this thing. It just goes on and on. Replace radiator fan shrouds, replace radiator fan blades. By the way, those come as one unit. So the fact that they're somehow charging like, this is how they come up with crazy prices. They'll say the fans and the shrouds are separate. So they'll charge you for each one and then labor for each one, even though it's one unit. Replace nuts that hold fan blade to the fan. You're not, because it comes as one unit, and then a coolant exchange, and that's $2 grand. Now, the grand total for all this, not including the taxes and fees, is just under $19,000. You add up all the taxes and fees, we're well over $20,000. So again, that's not going to replace the engine, the transmission, the differentials. It's insane. So he brought the car to me. We get it in there and we see that the fans aren't working. Picked up the fans at O'Reilly's for $233. Pop those in, replace the serpentine belt. It's like, what, 20, 30 bucks? New thermostat, cap, fluids, I think 300 bucks maybe all in. And his car's perfectly fine now. By the way, that valve cover that's leaking, like the 2-3 hours it was in my driveway where I was messing with it, it made not one drop of oil on the ground. That's how slow of a leak it is. Dipstick was perfectly full. It's one of those ones where you say, keep it topped up. It's not a big deal. I'm trying to figure out how you come up with that. Like a 10-year-old Subaru with a little over 100,000 miles on it is totaled basically, even though there's nothing really wrong with it. Is Brandon Thomas just insane, or is this starting to be the norm? You hope not. Because when you get a quote like that, it means like one of two things. One, they're really that incompetent that they're just a bunch of parts replacers. They just want you to go buy a new vehicle. Both of those are like terrible solutions. Thanks for buying our Subaru, buy another one 10 years later. But you hear more and more stories about this though, you know, like everything's obsolete. At the same time, you got mechanics that don't know what they're doing on anything. I'm sure there's people watching this that are a good mechanic that would not, you know, agree to all this crap. But if you've been in this industry for a while, have you not noticed that like the mechanics nowadays coming up, or the service policies these days just seem to be parts replacing? What are you gonna do? You're gonna have to try to figure it out yourself, and nothing is convenient to work on anymore. This goes to the biking world too, where it's like specialty tools, weird things that snap together that are clearly not meant to come apart. But the thing that really I notice a lot with the bikes is the electronics now. There's a lot of ECUs now that are like, it's completely untunable, or when they are tunable, it's like in such a short little window. But the biggest thing in the motorcycle world, I think we can all agree that's absolute horse, is this idea that you buy something and you don't own it. The KTMA, you get all these mods for the first 1,000 miles, and we're gonna turn them off. You're gonna turn off things that exist on the bike, like hardware that's on the bike. That whole situation with that Subaru, I'm glad I got it fixed, but it just makes me nervous because I know he also has this, like, you know, like a general mechanic he's taking it to. They'll do like little stuff with it, an oil change and whatever, but they're not like willing to like do like work on it. With no one being able to work on this thing, seemingly, it seems like now it's gonna fall on me, which does kind of make me nervous. I'm a motorcycle mechanic, I can work it out to some degree, but not everything. There's a lot of these things now you can't get parts for them. The electric cars really are bad about that, like the Teslas and stuff. So now it's like, okay, so if you take it to the dealership, they're gonna make you do all this crazy stuff, which by the way, they were doing that whole thing of like, well, you gotta do all this first before we can tell you what's wrong with it. They were trying to pull one of those numbers. By the way, they don't even know if that's going to fix it. That's why I say people are just parts replacers. Like when you take your somewhere and they say, oh, this part on it's is broken, you gotta look, is it a general wear part? Okay, fine, we'll replace the general wear part, but it's not a general wear part. It's not something you expect to wear out. These mechanics just say, oh, replace that part. Hang on, buddy, you didn't actually diagnose it. You didn't actually see, why did that part break? Was there a reason why? Why are all these random parts bad? You're either incompetent as a mechanic or trying to just make some absurd offer that transfers into a sale
and they might get some kind of kickback from that. You look around though, I mean, look, there's not like, that's like the oldest car right here is that old Mitsubishi. Everything's new. It's new because it sucks. They're not making them easy to work on anymore. They do want you to go to the dealership, it seems like, and I'm sure they want you to just upgrade it after a couple years. So you gotta look at the road, you know, use your, you know, that. Let's show them what to do there. When I went to school,
Aren't you glad Jake's a mechanic? I went to school.
I went to like a community college. I did see a lot of idiots pass a lot of classes, and I'm like, there's no way they understand this class. But I will say, to actually fully graduate, to get your certification that you've done everything, I think something like 1 or 2% of people that actually start the program finish it. So that makes me quite rare for people in that school. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was actually in my last class, which was practical, and I was working on a Honda Magna, rebuilding the engine in it, and like a bunch of other stuff on the bike. It was this big long project. Another guy that was taking that class at the same time as me, the only other person there doing that, this guy was working on a Chinese like pit bike quad thing. Every class for a year I was in there. He comes into class having charged up a battery, like a car battery, hooks up to this Chinese pit bike, and would sit there and turn it over until the battery died, and make a Patrick Star face at it the whole time. They would pull the carburetor out and clean the out of it. The carburetor's clean. Trust me, buddy. Putting the carburetor back in and then proceeding just to turn this thing over and over and over. It never pops, it never kicks, never does nothing. I said, hey, what's going on with that thing? Oh, I just can't get it to start, man. Clean the carburetor, like, I don't even know how many times. Is it getting spark? Huh? Like, does it have spark? I don't know. You're at this point in the class. What do you mean? Next class, I get there before him. I walk up to this thing and look at it, and I notice on the side of it a little black cylinder thing, and I look closely at it. It's one of those magnet tether things. So I pull out my multi-tool, click it to the backside of it to just, you know, like complete the loop as if the magnet's there, hit the start on this thing and fires right away. And I turned it off, and I never told him about that. And last I saw, when I had graduated that class, like, I had rebuilt the whole engine. He's still sitting there turning this thing over. He didn't pass. My school's not perfect either. I'm not trying to say. I went to Cedar Valley College. I'm sure there's a lot of dumbasses that have gone to that school too, and I'm a dumbass too at times. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to talk about MMI is what I'm trying to say here. But I've met a lot of people in the last few years that have been to MMI who exceedingly don't know anything, no idea about diagnosing. They don't know how anything works. This is like the main school to go to, but you talk to these people and like, oh yeah, I've been going there for, you know, 8-9 months. I've got my Honda cert, my Suzuki cert, I'm gonna get my BMW next month. It's like, but then they call you up because they don't know how a carburetor works. There's a guy in our Discord who knows. It's not your fault, buddy. There's a guy in our Discord that is basically been there recently. He's having some issues getting a bike started. I said, is there fuel in the float bowl? I don't know. How do you check that? It's not his fault. I asked him. I said, what did your school tell you about carburetors? That was one day they pulled this bike out and they said, well, these things are basically obsolete now, but in case you ever have to mess with an old carbureted bike, here's what you need to know. And I said, dude, I don't give. The teacher was like Jesus himself. It could like touch you and like give you the information. Actually, I guess that would work. That, or if it was the Matrix tech and we could, like, you know, zip it into your brain. That's the only way this works. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. The dude, it's not his fault. They're not teaching carburetors anymore. Carburetors are obsolete now. There's so many bikes that still use carburetors, not to mention, what, you're just gonna not learn about something that's been the main form of fuel the main fuel delivery system in a motorcycle for the last 100 years. So it's not exactly a great situation for the motorcycling world too. I'm just not super positive about what the future of all this is going to be. You can't work on nothing. It's all designed to be a piece of shit. The mechanics aren't real mechanics. They just want to replace everything. What do we do? And do I have any solution, or am I just being an old man right now on camera? It is a bit of that. I don't actually have any real point to make other than say this all sucks. What's going on, man? He's hoping that, like, they'll start the work. He's here early. There's a tent. Guys, is there a tent man in there? I don't know if anyone's in there right now. I want to see better made vehicles. I want to see better trained mechanics. I want real mechanics again, you know? I want mechanics that actually know how to be mechanics. Our guy Dewey made an observation. He goes, it's kind of like a real doctor. You don't get real doctors anymore. And it's true. After you go there, and it's like some nurse practitioner or something. All they do is prescribe your medicine. They don't actually, like, know what the problem is or how to fix it. you know? And I think that's the same with mechanics now. They don't know what the problem is. They don't know how to fix it. Parts and pills, everybody. That's the future. Parts and pills. Like farts and thrills. I think that's the Patreon edit right there. I can't go into the public edit. I think that maybe we should just end the video here then. We're going off the chain now. If you want to see the Patreon version of this video, it's this much longer. Ad monetization free, ad free, whatever. You know, we don't do any ads on it. Take care, everybody. Peace. That's what we say now right here. Peace, bro. How do we fix this, actually? That's a good question. What would you do to fix this? Like, you need us together to decide what we don't like and then use our dollars in such a way to influence the markets to do what we want. That's how everything works, isn't it? Everything, really. Politics included. It's not really just money. Okay. I'm out of my league now. Bye, everyone. Woo! What's up, man? YouTube chat? Yeah, Jake the Garden Snake. Yeah, look me up there, yeah. You want to be on it? Yeah, what's your name? What's up? Are you from around here? Oh, from Denver?
I mean, I can smoke better weed than Denver.
Well, all the weed from here comes from Denver. That's where. Take care, man.